Hey YouTube, we're back again this week for another video portion of the Daly Dose Sports Podcast. Hope everyone out there is doing well. Hope you're all staying healthy. Hope you enjoyed March Madness while we had it. Because this week on the Dose, the NCAA tournament is now complete as a champion was crowned on Monday night. We're going to talk a little bit about that game and how that all went down. Plus, we need to announce the winner of our Daly Dose Bracket Challenge. Who is winning that coveted Daly Dose t-shirt? Let's jump into all of that right now. And first up, we've got to talk about those tricky Texas Baptists. The Baylor Bears rolled to their first national championship in school history, steamrolling the previously unbeaten Gonzaga Bulldogs on Monday night. Baylor wins 86-70, and hey, the Bears dominated. They never trailed against, we might add, an undefeated Gonzaga squad that was trying to complete the first perfect season since 1976. But Baylor didn't need a miracle shot or anything like that. They just whooped the Zags from beginning to end. The Bears just had way better guards than Gonzaga did. And get this, for the game, Baylor shot 10 of 23 from three-point range, while Gonzaga shot just 5 of 17 from three-point range, and most of those shots were in garbage time when it didn't matter anymore. And that's a big, big difference. Baylor guard Jared Butler scored 22 points. He drains 4 three-pointers. He wins the Final Four Most Outstanding Player Award. And I know there's a little bit of a narrative right now that maybe Gonzaga was just worn out from that thrilling Final Four finish on Saturday night when they beat UCLA on a nearly half-court shot at the buzzer in overtime from point guard Jalen Suggs. Meanwhile, Baylor blasted Houston in a blowout and just coasted to an easy win. Well, Gonzaga was just physically and emotionally spent. Yeah, and I'm sure there was some of that out there. I'm sure Gonzaga had a little bit of hangover. But here's my only problem with that. We could run this game back 10 times. And I'm not so sure Baylor doesn't just win all 10 of them. I mean, 2 reasons primarily. One, we saw, especially against UCLA and then again against Baylor, Gonzaga isn't that strong defensively. I mean, they have a hard time keeping people in front of them. And again, we've talked about this aspect before. If you don't finish every single defensive possession with a rebound, then you're not truly a great defensive team. We saw it against UCLA, and then Baylor really exposed it. Gonzaga was not a great defensive team. But then there also was that difference in three-point shooting. Baylor is the best three-point shooting team in the country. They make nearly 42% of their three-point shots. Meanwhile, Gonzaga was ranked number 59 in the country. They made 36%. Hey, as the Golden State Warriors reminded us a few years ago, threes count more than twos. Baylor was hitting threes, Gonzaga was hitting twos, and it really was never that close. I mean, think about this. Baylor made 30 field goals on Monday night, okay? Gonzaga made 25. Now that sounds close, right? But when one team makes 10 threes and one team only makes 5, yeah, you get a blowout. There is also a narrative coming from a lot of people in the sports media world that Gonzaga is soft. Hey, you can't win coming out of that little conference. Mark Few, their head coach, he can't win the big one. That's all incorrect as well. Gonzaga has now been to the national championship twice. The first time in 2017, they lost to North Carolina, who had a much better team than they did. And then on Monday night, I think we can all agree, Gonzaga again lost to a much better team. That's not choking. That's not underachieving. That's not being soft. Hey, Gonzaga and Mark Few have built up a really strong basketball program in a place that no one ever saw coming. It wasn't like back in the 80s or the 90s people were saying, you know who's a real sleeping giant? That little school out in Eastern Washington, boy, when they get it going, it's really going to get rolling. No one saw this coming. Mark Few has built a basketball program that is at least a threat to win a championship every single year. There's nothing soft about that. There's nothing small time about that. Gonzaga is no joke. On the other side, hey, congrats to the Baylor Bears. The job that head coach Scott Drew did down there, I mean, remember when he first arrived at Baylor back in 2003, Drew was in his early 30s, and he was given the job of rebuild this disaster of a college basketball program. Because remember, Baylor player Carlton Dotson had just been charged with murdering his Baylor teammate Patrick Dennehy. Then, former Baylor head coach Dave Bliss was caught on tape telling players to paint Dennehy as this drug dealer to hide illicit payments and other violations within the program. This was a complete disaster. Prior to Scott Drew's third season, the NCAA dropped the hammer on them and banned Baylor from playing non-conference games. The fact that he has built this back up into what it is, hey, this might sound insane. Scott Drew has maybe done one of the best coaching jobs in the history of ever. What he did this year, winning the title at that place, coming out of what they had going down there, oh no, he deserves all the credit in the world. That's not even close. Congrats to the Baylor Bears. Congrats to Scott Drew. They did an absolutely amazing job this year. That was impressive stuff. And I don't want to hear about would Gonzaga have been one of the all-time greats, or is Baylor one of the all-time greats? We don't need to talk about all that. Again, comparing eras is really, really tough, but congrats to Baylor. That was a phenomenal win. But here is the most important news of the day, because the Daly Dose March Madness Bracket Challenge is now complete, and we need to announce the winner of who is going to be getting a Daly Dose basketball t-shirt in, I might add, the color of their choice. Because when you go to TeePublic, you can pick whatever color you want. So, without further ado, let's see who finished where in the final standings. We'll start back at number 7. Tied for 7th place. Well, I was in 7th place with Beef Liver. At 6th place, we have Easy Money. Coming in at 5th place is Travis G, who actually led this bracket for a lot of the tournament, but the Final Four and the title game knocked Travis out of that spot. In 4th place, we have The Boss. 3rd place goes to I Swim in Pinkle, whatever that is. And now we're getting serious, because 2nd place in the Daly Dose Bracket Challenge goes to The Right One. Might have to talk a little bit more about The Right One a little later in the show, meaning that the winner of the 2021 Daly Dose March Madness Bracket Challenge is Larry H. In fact, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try it. Let's see if we can track Larry H. down real quick. I don't know if I can get him on the phone or not, but I'm going to try.
Yes, sir.
Is this Larry H.?
It is.
Larry H., this is Clint. I'm calling with the Daly Dose, and I just wanted to let you know that you are actually on the show right now, and we wanted to congratulate you on winning the Daly Dose March Madness Bracket Challenge.
Well, was it ever in doubt?
Yes, you were in like 7th place most of the entire tournament.
Well, thank you. It's good to be on the Daly Dose. It's been a while.
Well, you big time us. You don't show up.
Well, hold on. If I'd known all I had to do was win a tournament or something to get on, then I would have done that before.
Let me ask you this: what is your strategy for success picking these NCAA tournaments?
Clint.
Yeah.
You know this. My strategy,
yes,
as it always has been, is that if you cannot fill out your bracket in less than 10 minutes, you are doing something very, very wrong.
So did you had Baylor winning the whole thing? Did you have them beating Gonzaga?
I had them winning the whole thing. Oh, did I pick Gonzaga
to get there?
Again, Clint, details about the bracket don't really come.
Can you name a single player on the Baylor roster?
No, I can't. I think I read there's a guy by the name of Mitchell who was named MVP. I did not read the whole article.
No, but, you didn't, because he wasn't named MVP, but that's all right.
Oh, okay.
Here's the big question I have for you. What color shirt do you want on that Daly Dose T-shirt we're going to be getting out to you? You can pick pretty much any color.
Wait a minute. Are you kidding me?
No, you pick the color.
I didn't know there was something, to play for here, man. Maybe I would have spent 5 minutes.
Right. You could have spent an extra 30 seconds on this, but no, it's all legit. You tell me what color do you want, because we're doing it right here on the podcast. You tell me what color and I'm going to make it happen. All
right. Well, because I picked Baylor, I'm going to go with the green, I guess.
You're going to go with green. Okay. Well, Larry, I want you to know.
And mind you, I have no allegiance to Baylor at all. I just,
That's weird, because you seem like such a conservative Baptist sort of guy. I just assumed maybe that was your school.
And I appreciate that. And it's not, I have no allegiance, but, for all your listeners out there who, I put a tip sheet out, before the tournament when people are selecting their brackets. It's pretty small. There's not a lot of tips, and that's why I call it a tip sheet.
Right.
I think there's just one tip in there.
Just one single tip. Don't spend too much time on it.
One tip.
Well, Larry, I want to offer you our sincere congratulations, and you are living proof that dreams can come true.
Man, I've dreamed about this moment for a long time, Clint.
That's all I wanted to hear. Thank you so much. We will be in contact soon.
Thanks, Clint.
Oh, goodness. Folks, that hurt my brain a little bit. All right, we gotta gather ourselves a little bit after that conversation, because all right, got one more story we need to touch on real quick. We are going to be talking about Major League Baseball here in a few minutes, but it was announced that MLB has opted to move their All-Star game out of Atlanta due to voting laws that were passed in Georgia last month. Georgia is now apparently requiring identification for voters that are voting by absentee ballot. And now, Coors Field in Denver, they are saying, has been chosen to host this year's game instead. Commissioner Rob Manfred said in a statement at the time, he discussed the potential move with individual major leaguers and the Players Alliance before ultimately deciding to make the call as the best way to demonstrate our values as a sport. Now, forget for a moment that Colorado requires photo ID to vote in person as well as absentee. They also require signature verification for mail-in ballots, which Georgia actually doesn't require. And that Colorado also prevents campaign workers from giving food or water to voters within 100 feet if they're wearing campaign apparel. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the fact they're moving it to Colorado when Colorado's laws are actually a little bit stricter. And I mean, even forget that MLB's home state of New York also has much stricter rules for voting than Georgia has ever dreamed of having, because they require IDs. They also have way stricter time limits for when you can vote. Let's be real clear about one thing that MLB is doing. Kids, this is about a show. This is about optics. This is about a spectacle. That is what Major League Baseball is doing here. This isn't really about helping anybody. They don't really care about that. They are trying to put on a show for the woke crowd and make everyone think, hey, MLB, they really care about the woke crowd too. And maybe Major League Baseball will get some of those advertisers to give them a little extra money. Which is kind of ironic when you think about it. Because Major League Baseball is all about the show. They're all about the spectacle, right? So now they're moving their All-Star game from Atlanta, where no one was going to watch it. Because, I mean, MLB ratings are in the toilet pretty much every single year. They're going to move that All-Star game to Denver, where, again, no one's going to watch it. Because, I mean, now Major League Baseball has angered at least 50% of the people who did actually watch their sports. Again, it's all kind of ironic. Because one key aspect to being a show, to being a spectacle, is that you have an audience to watch that show. But MLB's audience just keeps getting smaller and smaller. So they're putting on a show, but at this point, it's basically for no one. Okay, YouTube, make sure that you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast this week. This week on The Dose, we are seeing some musical chairs already being played in college basketball coaching. The NFL saw an interesting trade that could affect the NFL draft. And we saw the preview for Space Jam 2, and we noticed something. Well, I guess it's something we probably should have expected. Then, this week on The Dose, we are previewing the 2021 MLB season. Are there any teams that can challenge the Los Angeles Dodgers? We are breaking things down with our resident baseball expert. Young Jimmy is stopping by to discuss what we should expect this season. So make sure that you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast. I'll leave a link for you here on YouTube. Hope you all are doing well. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week.